Sawyer County Public Works Committee meeting to order. Ask the clerk to take the roll.
Ron Kinsley,
Here.
Mark Helwig,
Here.
Ed Peters,
Here.
Dale Olson, Brian Bissonette.
Thank you. Let the record indicate we have a quorum. We also have the chairman of the county board, Tweed Schuman, with us also. All right. Certified compliance open meeting laws has been done. Meeting agenda is in front of us. Public comment. Is there anybody with public comment?
No.
Thank you. Number 5, consider approval of the temporary ATV route on Highway W. Discussion and possible action. Gary, you want to help us out, please?
Sure. I was contacted by Dan Schauder of the Tuscovia Trail Riders.
The Sawyer County Alliance president.
Oh, okay. Regarding a situation they have on Trail 25. They've had a bridge that's been failing for years, and they've been operating it, running groomers over. It's a multi-use trail, ATV, UTV, and snowmobile. And the state federal forest people came in there and shut them down, not be used anymore. So they're freaking out. What are they going to do? It's a main north-south corridor to connect up. So contacted me, and I spoke with Ron and Tom on this, and I think I spoke with you on it anyway, about getting on the agenda as soon as we could. The trail is actually opened today, so they're hoping for this temporary usage of County Road M from, it's about a 5-mile section. We already have a portion of South M open from B-Back Road up north to County Road W has already been opened. And then a small segment down near the South Fork of the Flambeau is also open. So this is that section in between that they're looking for, and it's about 5 miles long. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And the town of Winter has approved this also. And this would be a temporary basis only. This is not a permanent request. The bridge is going to take over a year to get replaced, which is not unusual. Didn't surprise me that much. It takes a while for structures to be replaced. So that's what they're looking for, temporary approval to use County Road M.
Really good.
2 questions. So we don't have a end date, of course.
No,
Okay.
no.
And how is that road? Is it windy? Is it pretty straight?
Well, there's some curves in it, but it's a very low ADT, so low volume road for traffic.
Okay. So I would make a motion to approve unless we have other discussion.
I'll second that. This is Ed Peters.
Motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Peters to approve. Do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I think as long as it's being approved, I'm happy with it. Like I said, it's a major route connecting. So we do need something to connect that up there for the southern part of the county.
So we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 6, variance for a driveway permit within the controlled access plan of the County Road B. Discussion and possible action. Gary?
Okay, probably most people, no one really probably even knew we had a controlled access. It was adopted in 1998. We started a control access which runs from the city limits out to Round Lake School Road. And the purpose of the control access at the time, you know how long ago that was to, restrict any access. So we had the control over the accesses. So we hired the engineering firm with Short Elliott Hendrickson. They came through, they cataloged all the existing driveways, and then they also plotted out unconstructed or proposed driveways. Okay, so this individual has purchased a property. So this would be east of the intersection of highways B and K, across from the casino. And at one point when the study was done, that was all one landowner, and they've since divided that parcel up. And the manufacturing firm is called Venom Outdoors. It's a small, it's just got 2 full-time employees, occasional temporary workers, and suppliers coming in there, 1 to 2 box trucks per day. I mean, we're talking about low volume, but without having permission from the highway department. We've already done a field inspection. It meets everything. We've had our foreman went out, looked at it, and everything's fine. We have no issues with it, but I don't want to say it's just a formality, but it does have to be, any new driveways that aren't on the plan have to be approved by this committee. We've done it before. This committee has done it before in the past. It goes back a ways, but we have issued other variances, and there's good cause for them. The reason why we issue them.
How wide a driveway do you make them put in? So
They're only limited to a commercial entrance with a 30-foot top. So
Could you repeat the business name?
Venom Outdoors, VENOM. It's a fishing and tackle manufacturer. They do specially like tungsten jigs and that type of thing. If anyone's a
So Gary, it's east of K and north of B?
it's on County Road B,
Yep.
east of K on the north side of the road, correct?
Because a lot of that's tribal land until you get to that big field. There must be
Okay, so there's the one parcel right on the corner.
30 acres, yep.
Yep, and then next to that, there's another parcel, and this is a smaller, I think it's probably about a 5-acre parcel, maybe. I'd have to look it up on the GIS, but
Do they need a turn lane in there then or not?
no.
No?
No.
Okay.
Thoughts, discussion, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance for driveway permit within the controlled access plan on County Road B.
I'll second that.
Thank you. There's a motion.
I do have a couple of questions.
on
One, is there, that side of the north side of the road there is pretty much woodland all the way up to the right of way. Is there sufficient visual access there so that we're not creating a hazard?
Yes, there is. And they're also located within the town of Hayward's highway overlay district. So they can't go in there yet and clear out property. They can't clear the property out just yet because they have to be maintain some buffers, and there's certain hoops they have to jump through. But it's pretty, our overlay district is pretty restrictive on the town of Hayward, such that he can't even get in there really to even cut you're right, Ed, it's all wooded. It's all wooded to even get in there and get a soil test or anything. So yeah, it shouldn't be a problem, Ed.
Okay, is that next to the property that had the fire?
It's in between, it's to the west of that, yeah.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Mr. Halleck, second by Mr. Peters. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Don.
Number 7, create of an ad hoc committee for the courthouse project, discussion and possible action. And this afternoon, probably, Mr. Hoc took time to put together a PowerPoint presentation of those payments.
Yeah, I did put together just some thoughts here, just so we can keep track of where we've been and where we're going, and for the benefit of those who are not here and the rest of the board. Just kind of some thoughts on the courthouse remodeling and where we're at with that whole project. So we're here tonight to discuss the ad hoc committee creation as required by the county board policy. So as you read the county board policy and procedures manual, what we did at the last county board meeting, the board chair recommended the creation of the ad hoc committee and appointed the members with the approval of the majority of the board voting. So that happened at March. So the purpose and the members of that ad hoc committee were established. However, the board rules also require approval, or actually the creation by the Public Works Committee. So this will be an ad hoc committee of the Public Works Committee. So what we're doing this evening is just recognizing the creation of that committee. And I'll kind of go through the rest of it, and then you can discuss that portion of it. The ad hoc committee, the purpose. We've got several different cooks in the kitchen here on this project, and that's fine because each one has a role and responsibility to complete this project. So this ad hoc committee, the purpose of that is to review the responses to the RFP, the request for proposal for the construction manager, and also to review the contracts as we go forward through the project as well, and monitor the construction progress in relation to those contracts. So that's the purpose. The members of that committee, the county board chair, public works chair, public safety chair, finance chair, and county administrator. And the reason for those members, again, is that each one of those chairs has responsibility for some aspect of this project. Obviously, Public Works and Public Works Committee, the function of this committee has the overall responsibility for the buildings and grounds of the county. Public Safety, that's where the courts report to that committee. Finance chair, obviously, this is one of the bigger ticket items that we've seen come through the county in a while. And the county administrator who keeps all the operations together with the project as well. So between the purpose and the members, that is the ad hoc committee that's being created for this purpose. So where are we at now? We've got a request for proposal for a construction manager at risk. That's a term used for this type of project. There's different ways of doing this. We selected the construction manager at risk method, and this is per the advice of legal counsel and our architect that feels that this is the best way to go about this project. And so there'll be a contract that gets established when we review the responses to the RFP and move forward with construction. So where are we at in the schedule? We did issue that RFP, that request for proposal at the beginning of April. We had a meeting that all of the proposers were required to attend to get an overview of the project, review the documents, ask any questions. We did have them submit written questions then just to make sure that we had everything defined and everyone got the same answers to all of the questions. And the proposals were due last week on the 16th or whenever that was. And so what's coming up next? The interviews for the proposers, the vendors will be coming in on next Friday. We're setting up those interviews for Friday morning, hopefully. And we'll hear from those vendors with those proposals and have a chance to ask them any questions on anything that needs to be clarified within their proposals that they submitted. On the 12th, which is the next Public Works Committee meeting, the ad hoc committee who has reviewed and looked at and interviewed these vendors would make a recommendation to the Public Works Committee, and then the Public Works Committee would bring their recommendation to the county board on the 20th for approval. We did receive 4 proposals, and these are the firms that have submitted proposals that we will be interviewing on next Friday. In other news, other progress, there has been some activity being done in preparation. There's some soil borings that were done. Firm was hired to take those borings several weeks ago. It caused a little bit of noise, but we're going to have to get used to the noise because that's going to happen more frequently as we get rolling. We're expecting that report anytime now. There's also some survey work that needs to be done. our architects have been working with our county survey staff, and they've been providing them information, but there's some survey work that needs to be done by an outside surveyor. They did receive one proposal, but it was very high, so they looked around for other proposals and were able to get one from REI that is a qualified vendor for a little bit lower price than that original, and so that is moving along as well. On the court specific side of things, the judge and the sheriff, clerk of court, Chris Channing, the court administrator for our district, have been looking at other court layouts to see what works, what doesn't work. They've got one more, I believe, that they were looking to go to, and I don't think that has been scheduled yet. But the purpose of these tours is to make sure that the functionality of the court is the most efficient that we can make, given our layout and our existing structure, and working that in with the new building so that we have the most efficient transfer of prisoners and court security and all those types of things in the court layout. Why is that important? Well, the Supreme Court rules for Wisconsin, Supreme Court Rule 6803, outlines the construction of court facilities, and the court facilities do need to meet certain specifications, and they do need to be approved by the chief judge in our district. So it is important, that those facilities meet these standards, and that we have plans for a facility that the court will be functional. So they've got a piece of involvement in the planning process as well. And again, the chief judge has to review any new court facility and grant or deny approval for its use. And the judge, circuit judge, or court staff can't occupy that until that approval happens. So that's just fancy language that says they want to participate. And rightfully so. So how do all these pieces fit together? Well, obviously the county board, is on the top rung, and they will be, approving anything and everything as we move along. As we sit here in the Public Works Committee, this committee is responsible for the overall building recommendations for the county, not just the court room or courthouse, but all of the facilities, highway, so on and so on. So the Ad Hoc Committee is an ad hoc of the Public Works Committee. And again, they'll be responsible for that selection of the construction manager and the contract and activity that happens after that. Again, those chairs that are on that Ad Hoc Committee may have questions or comments, things that come up that they would want to refer to their individual committees. So that gives them an opportunity to get those items on their individual agendas for discussion, so that we can keep everything kind of together and coordinated, but take care of those issues and questions as they arise by the responsible committee moving forward. Again, that court space design team from Supreme Court rules, they'll be providing input as well. That design team is not just the judge, it is the sheriff, the clerk of courts, other affected people, district attorney, public defenders, all have kind of a say in how that kind of gets put together. Again, the district has final say on that. So that's kind of the overview and how all of these kind of pieces fit together. We'll be talking about this each month and in each of these committees more than likely as we move along, because there's a lot of different decisions that'll happen along the way, but we are trying to keep everybody informed and get everybody the same answers, and so we don't have disconnect as far as who hears what. So that's where we're at. And again, per the board policy rules, the creation of the committee is what we're looking for tonight. So, looking for then a motion to recognize the creation of the Ad Hoc Committee this evening.
Make a motion to, for the Ad Hoc Committee.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Peters, to approve the recommendation. I think Mr. Hoc put a nice presentation together. Thank you.
Good, yep, thank you, Tom.
Any discussion?
Oh, I did have a question.
Yeah.
Are we gonna be like going over the plans like we've done in the past and say, yeah, that one, yeah, that one?
Yeah, thank you for the question. The question is what happens next in the planning stage? Once we hire the construction manager, then the nitty gritty of the planning really starts. So that construction manager will help us identify, things like we started working with the architect, and then they kind of came to a point where it's like, well, we really need to wait for that construction manager to be on board because they will be able to suggest and recommend things that will go into the final product. So I think next month, this committee, we need to talk about and decide things. We've got the presentation that we heard last month about the Veterans Building. We can make a decision on that. We've got some other things. The clerk of court wing here, that remodeling is part of the plans. So just some different things. We want to make sure that that's what the board and this committee want to do before we get into those nitty-gritty design phases.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah. Guess you wanna look and ask them.
Diane might still have the door open if you want to get your email.